In this video, we're going to focus how you can cross-filter our chart here. So for example, you can see here we have the values of 100 and 600. But if I click on this, it would change the value specifically for that bar. And if I click on this one here, we get different values matching with that bar or data set here. So let's start to look how we can do this. So let's start to look how to cross-filter charts in Chart.js. So what we're going to do here, first of all, is we're going to get our boiler template, which you can find here on chartjs3.com, getting started. This link you can find as well in the description box. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code here. Copy all of this. If you want to understand what this code does, make sure you watch this video here that explains it all. I'm going to paste this in here, then I will cut out this and put the title in here. Save, refresh. Now we have this, and what I want to do is I want to have a second chart, which will be a pie chart or donut chart, doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate all of this, copy all of this, and then I'm going to put enter, enter, paste. But of course here I need to change it. So I say your chart number 2, my chart number 2. This config needs to be number 2 like this. So that will be matching here. This one here is not allowed to use a shorthand. For that one I need to use data number 2. Then what I will do here is put in here number 2 as well, and everything else is fine. What I want to do here, I just change this into a pie chart. If I save this now, refresh, alright, it's not showing yet. The reason why it's not showing, let's scroll up here, is because I forgot to put another canvas ID. Copy this, put that in there, say number 2 here, save, refresh. Alright, this works. Let's fine tune it a little bit. I'll make this a little bit smaller and I will maximize the size of this. Say here 80%, save, refresh. Alright, that's first one. Next, what I want to do is I want to go down here. In the pie chart, I'm going to remove the scale lines because we don't need them, because these grid lines are useless for a pie chart. And here, I'm going to say here, aspect ratio will be equal to 2, meaning the width of 2, height will be 1. So a ratio 1 to 2, and I realize that this is still quite large. Let's go up here and reduce that size here a bit more. I guess 50% is maybe a bit more suitable. Alright, we have this, and what I want to do is basically this. I want to show these values. When I click on something here, I want to show here at the bottom, or in this chart, the pie chart, the values. For example, here we have like how many sales we have, and we can divide this by female customers and male customers. And then when we click on that, it will show here the percentage male and female, or the amount of sales done by male or female. So what we're going to do is I'm going to scroll down here. First, I'm going to remove all of the colors except the upper 2. There we are. Then I'm going to just delete all of this here, and this will be adjusted. We're going to say here, let's say male, comma, female. And here the gender of sales. I have no idea. I'm just making it up as I go, or customer gender, something like that could be. So what we want to do now is we want to click on these values here and then show these matching values, or these, if I click on this, I should show here the proportion of that. So what I'm going to do for that is, first of all, I need to have a separate record of that one. So I'm going to put in here above. And of course, this could be from your database or somewhere else where you get your data. So I'm going to say a constant, and I'm going to say your records. And the records here will be equal, and this will be an object. And I'm going to say your data points. And the data points is an array. And this array is an array within an array, meaning there are here multiple values. So what I can do here is, for example, I'm going to say here 3 and 6, comma, and then what I will do is I'll just copy this at least 6 more times. So we should have 7 items, but then I want to make sure we have 8, and I'm going to explain later on why. This will be our total, but let's put in here, and I'll just make this simple. So 9, 12, 15, 20, of course, at 18, 21, etc., etc. Alright, so now we have these. Here, I will make this in a larger proportion. I'll say this will be 100 and this will be 600, for example. So if I save this, refresh, nothing happens yet because I need to connect this still. So what I will do is this here would be the total value of everything, and when we click on these, we will show here the individual day, what would be the proportion of male and female customers. So I'm going to scroll down here, and then within here I'm going to change this. And how will I change this? Well, I'm going to grab the item here, records.dataPoints index number 7. Why number 7? Because that's the total, because we have here index from 0 to 6, basically 7 items here, but it starts with index of 0 based calculation. So it's the index 0 is the first one, and this is the end is 6. So that should all make sense. So then what I want to do is I'm going to say the records, that's the right one, dot data points, and index number 7. If I save this now, refresh, now we get the total of 100 male customers and 600 female customers. Alright, so now we have this, and that's definitely a confirmation that this works. What I want to do now is to make this clickable. We're going to click all of these here. So to do that, I'm going to put in here enter, enter, and then I'm going to start working on a new function. And this function is very straightforward. We're going to say a function, and let's call this our click handler, and of course it should be like that, function. We can say a click handler, and a click handler basically would mean a item that does a specific or it handles something, or does a specific task. Specifically then what we click, it does that specific task, what we want. Anyway, we have to define this. So what I'm going to do here now is, what I want to do here first is console log to confirm that this works. So what I want to do is, basically I want to make sure that if we click on the canvas itself, or at least on this chart, it should do something. But if I click here on this chart, it should do nothing, because this one should not be connected to that one here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a simple command here. We will say here my chart.canvas. And the reason why my chart is because we want to click on the first canvas ID of this. And then, or the my chart, which is the ID, and specifically when we click on not on the ID, but on the canvas of that specific ID. So that's why we say here my chart, which is the ID reference, and then the canvas. So when we click on that, we say here on, click. Then what I want to do is I want to trigger this specific functionality. If I save this, refresh, open up developer tab, let's click here. You can see here nothing works, or nothing happens. That's correct. But if I click here, no matter where I click, it shows here the click. But if I click down again, it does not show anything. Beautiful. So that means that this is exactly what we want, and that it's working. So what I want to do here is create a functionality that's built into Chart.js. So we're going to follow this specific code. We're going to say here, let's say points equals my chart, and then from my chart here, we're going to say you get elements at event for mode. Basically what we're doing here is we're going to get the element at the event of a for mode. So what is the event? Basically it's our click event here, but we need to specify that here as well. We're going to say a click, which is the reference of this here, that's the event, comma, then we're going to say nearest. So we want to have, when we click on any of these items, we should get the nearest element. That's why we're going to search here, get the element at the event of clicking. So when we click, we will get the element, but which element will we get? The nearest one. Of course, in this case, our nearest one will be also defined with a comma, and we're going to say here intersect equals true. So we say intersect equals true, and if you wonder why intersect equals true, intersect would mean basically when we click within these borders here, and you can see the intersect would be just like the tooltip. When we hover within the element, it opens up that specific tooltip. But now what we were saying is not only hovering, but when we click on this element, and then we want to get the specific data from that element. So say true, and we confirm this again with true. Once we have this, now let's do a console log again, and this time I'm going to say a points. Save this, let's hide this one, refresh, open up developer tab, and let's make this a little bit smaller. We don't need so much space. Then if I click on this and let's see here, you can see something happens. Let me just increase the size of it, open up, there we are. So when we click on this, you can see here it gets us the dataset index of 0, which is correct. We only have one dataset, but it also tells us the element information and the index number. Well, in this case, I click on Monday, that is index 0. If I click on Sunday, do again, as you can see here, now we get the index number 6. If I click on white space, it doesn't trigger anything. Why? Remember the code here, get element at the event for the mode and nearest, but specifically intersect. So we're not intersecting unless we are clicking exactly within this element, within the borders of this element. Alright, so that means the most important part. However, I want to grab here or remove or only show the ones when we click on the element itself. And there's a white space, we don't have to show this data. That's not necessary. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say an if statement, if points and the points dot length. So basically if we have any length instead of nothing, then show this. So we're going to say here console log points, save, refresh. Now if I click on the white space, nothing happens. Click on the elements, you can see here we get our information here. So what we really need to do here basically is simply updating chart number 2 based on this data here that we have set. And that's basically what we did here is the records. So this information is useful for us. So let's start to work on this now. So what I'm going to do here, if we click on this, then what I want to say here, I want to say here my chart number 2, because I want to pinpoint the second chart. And then what I want to do here is I want to do something. Specifically, I want to change the data sets, and this will be datasets index 0 data, because we only have one data set here. So if we look at this, let's scroll up here. Basically, I want to go from data sets here to the data here, which is this here. I want to update this specifically. Well, I can just copy this, but I want to update the number in here. So let's put in here, then we say here this equals that. And let's make this number 1 now for now. If I save this, refresh. And now if I click on something, alright, interesting, it doesn't work yet. So let's see here. The reason why it doesn't work, I already realized why it doesn't work. And you might see here, well, suddenly it changes. And the reason why is because we are changing or resizing it. So that's why it triggers it. But it should not be like this, or at least this is not the way how we need to do it, because I forgot here something that we need to do, which is my chart number 2 dot update. I need to update this, save this, refresh. Let's try again. There you are, and now you can see here the numbers are changing. If I click on this one, nothing happens here. Why? Because we hard-coded index number 1. At least here, this one, that will be specifically this point here, 3 and 9. Am I correct? 3 and 9. There we are. Let's scroll down here, change this again. But now, what I want to do is we have the points here, so let's look at that. Let's grab the information of this. So you can see here, we get here index number 3. So what I want to do here is the points. If I do here dot this, save, refresh. If I click now, alright, interesting, I don't get anything, or it's undefined. So let's double check here, points. Alright, so I know already what's the issue. So if I save this, refresh, click, open up here, you can see here index 0. So that is the issue. I forgot to specify here index 0 and then index. Save that, refresh. Then if I click on that, there we are, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and here number 6. So what I want to do then is copy this part, put that in here. We can just remove this, save, refresh. Now if I click on this, it will change nicely, and there we are. Of course, you might say, well, how do we reset it back to its original state? Well, there should be maybe a separate button here, like a reset button. There's even an option for right click. I have videos for that where you can make your custom right click menu where you can right click and then reset it, something like that. You could do all kind of options here. However, this is basically it. Quite easy how to do it. So if you enjoyed this video and maybe you want to figure out how to do a reset button, I'm going to recommend you this video here, how you can create a reset button, or basically a HTML button in the canvas, and this specifically specific button will even reset the chart as well, which is quite interesting and matching with what we have here.